All right, Bills, 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 Bills. It is not football season. It is not NFL season until we get a classic Buffalo Bills W against the Chiefs in November before we lose it all in January. For some reason, we can put games together in the regular season when they really don't matter and we look great. And then the playoffs come around, and no matter where we play, we cannot get it done against the Chiefs. I don't want to jinx anything. I'm pumped up. I'm very happy we won this game, but I promise you, absolutely everybody thought we were winning this game. That's what the Bills do. It is November. It is our time to win. Let's carry this on to the playoffs. It is week 9 rundown of football. I apologize. The voice is a little bit raspy. I'm getting over a little cold, a little sickness, but we are pushing through because we got 6 games to go over today. Bunch from the early slate. Then we're going Chiefs, Bills, and tomorrow a little special guest is coming on the pod. A great friend of mine, somebody I've known for a while, who's followed along my path, who's been on the show on the early stages of the podcast, back when it was just a fantasy show. We're going to get him on, talk a bunch of football. I'm pumped up. So stay tuned for the Monday night recap. You know we always do that right after Monday Night Football. But for now, you know the drill. It's Sunday recap with JV, back on the JV show for week 9 of NFL football. While you're here, go ahead, like, comment, subscribe. You guys have been phenomenal. We hit 3K subscribers this week. Thank you so much for the support. It's been an awesome year, and we're only halfway through. We still got the playoffs. Get freaking pumped up, baby. Before we get things rolling, I would like to remind you this year, I'm sponsored by my friends over at Big Third Down Shop. Go check it out. The link is in my bio to shop the hats. There's a bunch of real cool NFL fan-branded hats, including this JV show one, which they hooked me up with, but you'll see a bunch of fan ones on my show as the rotation goes on. I rotate them every few episodes, so for whatever team you love, go ahead, cop yourself some real cool merch. It's all available there. Link in my bio. And without further ado, ladies, gents, let's talk football. Week 9, man. Broncos, Texans, I want to start off with. Broncos, the fourth quarter team of the season. They take it 18-15. It seems like this team, for some reason, plays pretty much garbage football offensively for 3 straight quarters, but somehow figures it out in the fourth. And they always this season have come up clutch when it matters. And that's football to some degree, right? You're going to have bad games. You are going to have bad quarters of football, bad halves, bad entire games, bad stretches of weeks. But if you can play good in the moments that matter, you're going to win games. And that's what the Broncos have done all year. Now, assessing the game today in the offense, watching Bo Nix, let's be 100% honest with ourselves. Bo Nix has played ugly football all year long. We're going to be honest. He hasn't played exceptional ball. If anything, he's been average, I would say. But for most of the season, he's been really concerning. Last week against the Cowboys seem to have career days for any quarterback going against them. So you scratch that one off the list. But for the majority of the year, it seems like Bo Nix has played average or below average football, besides the fourth quarter. But he's great in the big moments. He is great when it actually matters, when they need a score from him, when they need him to win a game. Broncos have come out alive this year, and that's why they are sitting at the top of that division right now. He is a fourth quarter gamer. You close out games, you win games in the NFL. We're not going to pretend right now like he had a good game today. He absolutely did not. His stat line, 18 of 37, 170 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. He started the game 3 of 12 with 1 interception. It was not a good day. He hasn't played consistent football all year long. And for the Broncos to go farther as an offense, because the defense is absolutely there, for this team to progress into the Super Bowl category, Bo Nix has to play consistent football. He's late with some of his reads. He's throwing behind his receivers. He's short on deep passes, or he's overthrowing his guys. He threw 1 interception, should have had multiple today on deep throws. He's not putting it together right now. He's not playing consistent football. But at the same time, you look at the stats, and it looks like a franchise quarterback, like a guy that deserves to be starting for this team and is the future for this franchise. All year long, this guy has been phenomenal in the clutch. Philadelphia, fourth quarter, heroics, they win that game. New York Giants, they put up 33 points in the fourth quarter. This week against the Texans, they carve their way down the field. RJ Harvey touchdown when it matters. They tie up the game with a 2-point conversion and then a field goal to win the game. All I'm going to say, because I've talked about Bo Nix quite a bit this year and his performances, it's been pretty much the same story week in, week out. This is not a sustainable way to win for Bo Nix. He has to play consistent football when the playoffs come around. But at the same time, the numbers and the record tells me that Bo Nix has the traits to be the franchise guy in Denver. He's an older quarterback. He was coming out of college, had way more experience than a lot of his counterparts. That's why he succeeded early. Whether you blame it on his play this year or Sean Payton's play calling, whatever it is, they need to improve the consistency of this offense, the consistency of his game, and then the Broncos are there. Because you watch how this defense plays, and I apologize again for my raspy voice. It's going to be a tough go this episode. It's already getting on me. But you watch how this defense plays. Denver's peak could be very scary. This defense is top 3 in the NFL. Secondary is excellent. They put an immense amount of pressure on the quarterback. I think they have the 2 leaders in pressures on the QB, Nick Bonito, I believe Zach Allen. They had pressure on CJ Stroud and Davis Mills all day long. 4 sacks, held them to 3 of 17 on third down conversions. They stuffed Houston on the goal line early. But the offense has not played up to expectation all year long. You can blame that on Bo Nix. You can blame that on the lack of weapons. It's really Sutton and whoever else. Mims is solid. Troy Franklin, he's good. But they don't really have a true dominant Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, a guy that they can absolutely go to in the big moments. Sutton is that in a sense, but he's also not as versatile as those guys, I would say. Sean Payton's play calling has also been a concern at points. You got to stop the screen passes. It drives me freaking crazy. Fans are calling it out every single game. It's Mickey Mouse shit. It is high school level stuff. I understand once in a while you toss in a screen pass. Makes total sense. Holds back the D-line a little bit. Keeps the defense honest, for sure. But it cannot be every second play. Cannot be your go-to on second and third down. Just doesn't make sense to me. But when you look at the situation, if Bo Nix puts 4 quarters of football together and this offense takes off, they are a Super Bowl team. The Broncos are really dangerous. This defense is built to last. They put pressure on the quarterback. The secondary is great. And today, they held Houston to 15 points, all without PS2, the reigning defensive player of the year. Go figure that out. So, have they played their best football as a team collectively? Maybe not. But I think their peak, looking at it right now, could be really scary if this offense strings together a few wins to get themselves going here, confidently get more consistency. They could be really dangerous come the playoffs. As for the Texans, it's been pretty tough. You know, dealing with this team, dealing with this offense in specific after Stroud's rookie year, it's been tough to watch. Yes, they've made the playoffs. Yes, they've won games in the playoffs both years. It's awesome, right? But you have a guy in CJ Stroud who has so much damn talent and potential, and he's so young, and you want to win right now, obviously. You want to capitalize and get further in the playoffs, but this offense right now, the way it's looked, Houston's going nowhere. I truthfully believe I just don't see it right now. The biggest waste of a number one unit in the NFL right now is Houston's defense. That defense is absolutely incredible. They're number one in the NFL. Best defense in points allowed. They're top 5 against the pass and rush. They're number 1 in yards allowed per game. But the offense is just abysmal. Even with CJ Stroud, it seems like something is missing. Whether that's the play calling, whether that's on Stroud, whether that's the offensive line, or the lack of weapons. You can't convert on the goal line today. You had multiple opportunities in Denver territory, and you came away with 15 points worth of field goals. That's not going to cut it. It's not going to cut it against playoff teams in big games. They are 3-5. With the state of that defense, that's unacceptable. And everybody in Houston knows that. With Stroud being regarded as one of the more elite quarterbacks in the NFL, Houston needs more. They cannot be 3-5 right now. It's just not going to cut it. And those are just the facts at the end of the day. You can't dispute those. You can't argue it. You can debate where the blame goes. But the fact is they're 3-5 with the best defense in the league. The offense has to step up. CJ Stroud's got to come back, and they got to make a push here. Because the Colts look great, but there's room in that division to make a wild card. The Jags are by no means unbeatable. You know, they started off really hot, but these last few weeks haven't looked all that great. Houston can take it. Houston can go and grab a wild card spot, but it depends on this offense, and it lies on the shoulders of CJ Stroud, hopefully, who can come back from that concussion, which was a brutal watch today. I'm praying for him and rack up a few W's and get this offense moving. I want to go Niners-Giants. Niners took it 34-24 from the early slate here. It's pretty crazy what the Niners have done, considering all their injuries this year. I mean, you want to talk about Coach of the Year candidates, for sure. Kyle Shanahan is up there. 6-3 with this roster. Pretty impressive. I want to talk about the Giants first, though. You know, I've heard a lot of negativity from their fan base. I think the one great thing you can take away, the Giants have found their starting quarterback. Jackson Dart is absolutely the future. 24 of 33, 200 yards, 2 touchdowns, with 60 yards and a touchdown on the ground. He put the offense on his back with no Malik Neighbors, with no Cam Scadaboo, and he made play after play after play. This offense is in shambles, yet Jackson Dart is legit putting up offensive rookie of the year numbers. The athleticism, check. It is absolutely there. He moves really well, does really well in open field. He can make defenders miss. He's got the full package. The big play abilities, check. His arm downfield, that pass to Slayton today, which he dropped, was pitch perfect, fantastic. The heart, the passion, the effort, it is all there. It is Baker Mayfield-esque. It is exactly what you want out of a franchise quarterback, and the swagger for a franchise that has been begging for a quarterback like this, it's all there. It's everything. It's everything you could ask for and more out of a young quarterback to bring life to your franchise. He would have had 300 passing yards today if his receivers caught their passes right in the breadbasket. And then there's people with the audacity to say it was garbage time stats. Jackson Dart played great all day long, and he did what he could. And he could have had those stats earlier on had his receivers caught the ball. Those are the facts. You got to watch the games, ladies and gentlemen. You got to watch the games. I know he scored later on in the game for sure, but he was balling all day long, and he did what he could, considering the state of this offense, this team, this franchise, and that coaching staff. At the same time, I'm looking at the Giants. I'm looking at social media. I'm reading all these negative comments about this team. And one thought, I guess, popped into my mind. The Giants have suffered a lot. They've suffered a lot. They have not been a good team for a long time. Daniel Jones took it in the playoffs 4 years ago. They haven't done much. They haven't been successful since Eli Manning, and they won the Super Bowls. They have not been a good franchise for the past decade. Let's just put it like that. They're complaining a lot right now, but I think with the state of this team, with how this offense at full health looks, that Giants fans are overreacting about this season, about the failure or the quote-unquote failure of this year. They're acting like it's burning in flames when it's really not. Okay, I have 4 things I want to point out. First of all, you have found your franchise quarterback in Jackson Dart. Second of all, your starting running back is on IR for the rest of the year, Cam Scadaboo. So you're missing him. Third of all, your Pro Bowl, All-Pro receiver Malik Neighbors is on IR for the rest of the year. So you're missing him as well. And fourth, people are complaining about weapons, protection, injuries. That's the only thing I can say. They have a bunch of injuries, but they've actually been good when they've been healthy. They have shown so much promise as an offense, healthy, from the little sample size that we've seen. Right now, the defense is their major weakness. They're allowing 35 points per game in their last 3 games. Brutal against the run game. So the coaching staff might need some changes, might need some adjustments. Nobody in New York's coaching staff right now is absolutely safe. Because this team needs something to change. They need to see a winning culture now with the players that they got. Defensive coordinator, head coach Brian Daboll, they're probably going to be gone. But the talent that they have, the team that they got, with that pass rush, with the guys on offense starting to fire, starting to click, just a little bit we saw, it tells me this season hasn't been a failure. I know they're not really winning games, but there is so much to root for in New York. And they weren't winning a Super Bowl this year, so you might as well get a high pick for next year, get another stud, and then next season, when you're back fully healthy, you'll be really dangerous. So I'm going to cut against the grain here against all the Giants fans, and it's easy for me to say because I'm not a New York Giants fan. So I haven't struggled like the Giants franchise fan base has for a while. But I promise you, it looks a lot worse than it really is. They will be absolutely fine. The New York Giants have so much more hope than they've had in the past. With that being said, the Niners did their thing. They dog-walked the New York Giants today. And like I started off this segment, we're going to jump right into Kyle Shanahan and Robert Saleh because, and I've been saying this since week 1, Kyle Shanahan and Robert Saleh are both wizards. They both are. Think about what they're doing and process it. How on earth is this team winning games in blowout fashion at 6-3, competing to win their division with all the injuries that they've had? Mac Jones, for the majority of the year, has looked like an elite QB. I'm not saying he is, but he's looked like one. He started the game 14 of 14 for 150 passing yards. He finished the game with 2 touchdowns on the day. The offense put up 34 points, still without a number 1 receiver, and the defense, which is pieced together weekly with practice squad guys you haven't even heard of, allowed 10 points through 3 quarters today. You can't tell me that's not impressive. No Fred Warner, no Nick Bosa, no Bryce Huff. Saleh coached up another masterclass. And they're 6-3, and they haven't been blown out all year, and they're playing tight games against competitive competition. They're always competitive with these coaches. So shame on you if you thought Saleh was the problem in New York. Maybe he's better suited as a defensive coordinator, but I'll tell you one thing for certain. He's an absolute mastermind with the defense. And he does his job to a T, and he did in New York. Defensively, he was a mastermind there as well. You go look at his numbers, his defensive numbers. You come back to me and talk. He's an animal. What absolutely helps them too offensively, and man, I mean, I talked about him, I want to say 2 weeks ago with Steve on a Monday night show. We were talking about the Niners and this offense and how they've really just figured things out with what they've got. Like, they're making it all work. It's kind of like a makeshift project, right? Like, you're using tools and stuff pulled from absolutely everywhere, but you're winning games. And that's what matters at the end of the day. You're staying competitive. And the one reason, and you know, guys have balled out, like Kendrick Bourne has stepped into a huge role for this offense at points. Mac Jones has come in and played phenomenal football, but Christian McCaffrey is really the heartbeat of this offense. Christian McCaffrey is the most valuable player to an NFL team right now, to an NFL offense right now. You can't change my mind. I think he's more valuable than Jonathan Taylor is to the Colts. If you haven't watched the Niners play this year, you probably wouldn't understand. But I urge you to check out a game and just watch and see what Christian McCaffrey does for this offense. All right? Let me read you some stats from today's game. 28 carries, 100 yards, a touchdown on the ground, 5 receptions, 70 yards, touchdown through the air. This offense runs through Christian McCaffrey. And defenses know that. Let that sink in. Defenses know what's going to happen. Defenses know CMC is getting the ball, and they still can't stop it. He's one of the most unstoppable players in the NFL. And to think this guy comes off a season-ending injury, to think that CMC has injury after injury, and he comes back and carries the load of 30-plus touches per game consistently in Shanahan's offense and produces. He runs, he catches, he blocks, he does everything for this offense and more. As a route runner, he's extremely impressive. He breaks the game open. Most games in history with a receiving and rushing touchdown. Christian McCaffrey. He is the well that never goes dry. And San Francisco keeps going back to it, and it keeps delivering. He's a hell of an impressive player. One of the most impressive I've watched. And you want to talk about running backs, and I've been on record saying they are a luxury, not a necessity, absolutely. But in specific situations like this, CMC changes the game. He does every time he's out there. The offense, whether or not he's touching the ball, changes. It changes because it simply his presence, being on the field, is enough to attract defenses to a spot and open up lanes for other guys to go out there and ball out. And he's been the heartbeat of this offense and the big, big reason why they are 6-3 and sitting real nice despite having their $50 million quarterback not played more than like 3 games this year. There are very few other teams that can have their starting quarterback go down and still perform like this. Look at what the Ravens had happen to them. With Lamar going down, they went 1-5, 2-5. They were holding on for dear life until he came back. This is really impressive, what we've seen from San Francisco in this offense. Let's hop over to Vikings 27, Lions 24. What a freaking game. What a game, what a game. I was big on the Vikings going into the year, and although they are sitting at 500 and, they haven't looked their best, man, was I happy today. I'm not a Vikings fan. However, I really liked the team this year. I thought the defense was great. I thought the offense last year was extremely productive, and the quarterback situation, it was getting a little shaky, but I believed in JJ. And let me tell you something. JJ McCarthy is keeping all the receipts from the haters. Every single damn one. In his 3rd NFL start against one of the better defenses in the NFL, a division rival in Detroit, a hostile environment, he goes out, 2 touchdowns, huge performance, and he wins a game where everybody was doubting him. Absolutely everybody. He's 2-1 as a starting quarterback in the NFL, and people were writing him off. People wrote him off after his 2nd NFL start. That is just unfair. It's unfair for us to look at JJ and make an assumption based on 2 games for the rest of his career. I've seen 2 games this year where JJ McCarthy has done it both with his arms, both with his arm and with his legs. He's shown up in crucial moments, and he's made game-winning plays. And he's shown effort and passion and resilience. The Lions are considered a Super Bowl contender this season, and JJ McCarthy led his team and that offense to a W and 27 points over a really good defense statistically this year. So are there drawbacks to his game? 100%. Not going to deny it. He was late on some of his reads today. A lot of his passes are, at least a few of them, behind his target, one of them resulting in an interception. But he's not perfect. He's not perfect. And that's just the reality of being a young quarterback. But what I can tell you is he's a fighter. He's not perfect, but he's a fighter. And he cares about what he's doing. And he wants to be great for this franchise. And you can tell he's actually improving. Through the 3 games I've seen, I saw improvement today. In a must-win game, I'm considering this must-win territory because you go to 3-5 in that division. I know the Packers lost today, but it's getting tight. Bears look good too. Lions, obviously. In a season-defining game, JJ McCarthy played really good. 140 yards, 2 touchdowns. I thought it was a good day from JJ. And I'm going to continue to support him and rally behind him because he's a dog, man. He's an absolute dog. And what's also great for Minnesota is they can fall back on Brian Flores being a mastermind of the game and of defensive concepts. I mean, the stunts, the loopers, the looks they were giving Jared Goff today, the pure pressure Brian Flores dialed up today against this Detroit Lions offensive line. They dominated them for 60 minutes of football. He understood. Brian Flores knew the state of Detroit's offense. Jared Goff heavily relying on protection because he's a dying breed of a quarterback, and I'm going to talk about that right away. But Brian Flores knew that. And what he did all day, unique pressure looks, From the first to the fourth quarter, they got to him, I want to say 4 times maybe today, 3 times. But it was pressure all day long. That offensive line didn't stand a chance. And they dominated. And that was awesome to see. It was absolutely a winnable game for Detroit. Like, they gave it away for themselves. But at the same time, you got to credit Minnesota, who is still fighting and who is now 500 on the year. As for the Lions and Jared Goff, look, Jared Goff's brand of football is dying in the NFL. He's a dying quarterback breed. In a clean pocket, there are very few guys that are better than Jared Goff. He can slice and dice up a defense when he has protection, but the second that pocket collapses and you ask Jared Goff to move outside the pocket, you're getting little to nothing. He's immobile as a quarterback. But that's fine because Detroit can usually protect him. But in games like this, when you're getting pressure all day, you're going to suffer. And you saw it for the majority of the game. That being said, this was a game the Lions can easily win. I don't think you come away from this concerned at all. They need to feed J-Mo more. He's so explosive. You just paid him, and he's such a crucial part to your offense. We saw the way he opened up the game late in the fourth quarter the second they got the ball in his hands. And I'll also say it's ridiculous fans are going after the OC already. Ben Johnson was phenomenal last year, and it's hard to live up to that hype. But this Lions offense has averaged 30 points per game this year. But because you lost to the Vikings, and the offense was all right today, which, partially is on the OC, but there were a lot of times the players could have capitalized too. You're ready to fire the OC? Give me a break, man. Give me a break. We jumped the gun as fans on coaches. And, I'm to blame for this too. We're so quickly judging coaches and their performance and saying who's got to be fired or not. Let it breathe. Give it a chance. This offense has looked good for the majority of the year. They put up 50 points earlier on against the Bears. They put up 38 points a few weeks ago. This is a good offense. Let the players do their thing. Don't fire the OC. Don't go after him already. You're being dishonest with yourself. You are, and you're treating him unfairly. I want to go now. Steelers 27, Colts 17. I apologize, man. The voice is just not with me today. Try to get some tea tonight. Get a good night's sleep. If you guys want to make fun of me, go ahead in the comments. I don't even blame you, man. But we're going to try and knock down these last 3 games. I still got to talk about the Bills. I probably won't be able to speak after this, but let's go Steelers 27, Colts 17. The Steelers defense showed up to play today. For the first time this year, Pittsburgh's defense showed up to play. 6 turnovers forced. You put pressure on the quarterback all day, 5 sacks on Daniel Jones. You walked over a Colts offense that has been humming all year long. You heard the comments from everyone. Highest paid defense in the league, can't force a turnover, can't get to the quarterback, allowing 30-plus points per game. You let Flacco and Love go nuts on you. This was a statement game. This was Mike Tomlin's defense coming out and saying, we're still here. Jonathan Taylor shut down, completely ineffective. There was physicality, there was effort, and there was heart today. And they wanted it bad. And TJ Watt showed up big with a forced fumble and a fumble recovery. That was awesome. Big play, TJ Watt. If the defense plays like that, the Steelers have a shot to win a playoff game. Did not believe I would say that. I didn't even have that scripted here. I didn't think I would say that. But assessing this team this year, the defense has been a weakness all year long. It's not the offense that's been the problem. If Aaron Rodgers and Arthur Smith can keep doing their thing offensively, keep rolling, keep putting up 24, 27, 30 points per game, and this defense comes around, especially in the playoffs, they could be good. They could be good. But the Steelers give us false hope every year. Let's not forget that. Let's not forget about what Mike Tomlin's Steelers do to us every single year. I'm not jumping the gun. I'm just saying, if the defense looks like that, hell yeah, they'd be a really good team consistently every week, and they could win a playoff game. Colts. You know, you're going to have bad games in the NFL. You turn over the ball 6 times, well, you know, you're not going to win the game. I'm sorry. Like, your likelihood of winning the game is just not there. It's plummeting, right? Daniel Jones finally came down to earth today. He was seeing ghosts all day long. Threw 3 pretty bad interceptions. Strip sacked a few times. Listen, I've said it all year long. This offense starts and ends with the run game. They couldn't get JT rolling. 14 carries, 45 yards. And I believe in Daniel Jones. But when all the pressure is on the passing offense, without JT playing like he usually does, the offense can get limited. And there's a lot of weight on the shoulders of Daniel Jones. And that just hasn't been the case this year. Like, JT is usually there as an 100-yard rusher to help out and get things rolling. When the pressure is on Daniel Jones to win a game with his arm, I have trust in him, but it's not a guarantee like it is with Mahomes or Josh Allen. Because we just haven't seen it. I haven't seen it with my own eyes. So I can't smash the guarantee button. He spiraled out of control today with the turnovers. I feel like it was just a bad day. And the second things got bad, they got worse and worse and worse. I haven't really seen that this year from Daniel Jones. He's thrown some interceptions, but come back from that in games. And he's played some really good football right after them. But today, it just kind of fell out of his grasp. And after that first, second quarter, it was like done. You know, it was just turnover after turnover. The pocket awareness wasn't there. The offensive line wasn't nearly as good as it's been all year long. I'm writing this game off for the Colts. I still think they're a top 5 team in football. I still firmly believe they're a top 2 team in the AFC. Some people are already going at Daniel Jones, saying he's a fraud. So many quarterbacks have bad games. Every single one. Every quarterback in the top of the MVP race right now has had a bad game this year. Recently, last week, Dak Prescott. Baker Mayfield on a bad game stretch these last few weeks. It hasn't been his best football. Mahomes today against the Bills. You know, Drake May early on this year against the Raiders, not his best game. Like, every quarterback has their off days. This one was a really bad off day for Daniel Jones, you know, like 4, 5, 6 turnovers. That's not good. But he'll bounce back. The Colts will be fine. And the awesome thing, like, you know, I never want to applaud a loss, but I'll be honest with you. The Colts had the most impressive loss I've ever seen. To turn the ball over 6 times and only lose by 7 points should be really encouraging for this fan base. This team is going extremely far this year. Stop calling them pretenders. This was a tough game. Overall, they will bounce back. Like I said, and I'll reinstate my point, the run game is the identity of this offense, and that is very clear. It was made very clear today. You need to get JT rolling for this offense to hit its peak. The defense is awesome. Man, 27 points, constantly pinned in bad field position with your backs up against the wall. That is a success, in my opinion. That is encouraging. You'd rather get games like this over with early to halfway through the season than deal with this shit when the playoffs roll around. And stat-wise, you dominated the game too. Yards, passing yards, rushing yards, first downs, third and fourth down conversion efficiency. The Colts were the best. You limit the turnovers. You demolish the Pittsburgh Steelers. You gave them the win. And I don't want to discredit Pittsburgh, but it's reality. The Colts are a top 2 team in the AFC. They should not be worried. All right. Let's go. Bears 47, Bengals 42. 2 more games here. I apologize again, man. My voice is giving out here. But this was like a game of the year candidate. I mean, I feel so bad. So bad for the Cincinnati Bengals fan base, for these players, for this team, for the fans. Like, it is so bad to watch. I'll be honest with you. It was 41-27, I want to say. Few minutes left in the game. Bears got the ball. I'm like, okay, this game is probably comfortably over. Bills Chiefs is coming on. I want to watch my boys. Denver Houston, that game looks competitive. Let's go watch that game. Turn off the Bears game, move on. Anyways, Broncos Houston ends. I click Chiefs Bills. The Bengals Bears game is still on. The Bengals are winning 42-41. And then I watch it all fall apart in front of Cincinnati. Caleb Williams dices up the secondary. Colston Loveland touchdown, game over. I go back, rewatch. I see the Flacco touchdown, the recovered onside kick, the next touchdown. I was stunned. And I felt so bad for Joe Flacco and that fan base for having to deal with this shit 24/7. Oh, it's terrible. It's terrible. Caleb Williams today, let's lift the mood up here before we go ham on the Bengals. Caleb Williams at the game's climax, he delivered. Caleb Williams delivered at the climax of the game. And that's what matters. You needed a game-winning drive, and he makes the play of the day right down the hash to Colston Loveland for a touchdown to win the game. He is such a talented playmaker. If he can settle down and take the easy completions and make the easy reads and extend drives with easy passes, easy layup passes, he'll be a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. Unfortunately, still extremely reckless, runs around like a chicken with his head cut off. He completes maybe 5 passes from the pocket every game. Today, it seemed like every single completion came after 10 seconds of a scramble drill where he was absolutely amazing, evading pressure, making defenders miss. But at some point, he's got to settle down, take a deep breath, and just take what's there. It doesn't have to be the home run ball. Just make the pass out to the flats. Take the easy hitch. Get your guys in space. Let them do the work. It's not all on you. I think that's an important lesson for Caleb that he's going to have to learn moving forward. It's not all on you to make this offense work. You can get the ball out to your players in space and let them do the carrying of the weight. You already do a lot as a quarterback, and you're going to be called in big games to make game-winning plays, which you did today. Just make the easy completions, man. And that's all I'm going to ask. Because after that, all the haters will be quiet, real quiet. It's funny because he's working backwards. The excellent Superman playmaking usually comes after mastering the basics and hitting the open players and completing the easy passes. But for Caleb, he's a natural athlete. He is a supernatural playmaker, but he struggles making the easy play. I think if you piece both of those together, you get a phenomenal QB. And I have the utmost trust and faith that Caleb Williams is the future for this franchise. He just put up 47 points for this Bears offense. They have never looked this good with Caleb Williams. For a guy that all the talking heads, everybody in the media said could be done after this year if it didn't work out, Caleb looks awesome. He looks awesome, and I hope they all hype him up this week because I'll talk negative about him. I'll get after him, but these games, they matter too. The games he shows up and he balls out in the big moments, man, is it awesome to see a guy like that succeed. Now, a big reason of his success this year, you got to credit Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson is already a success story in Chicago. He's already an A-plus hire for this team. 5-3 through 8 games, that's already better than what the Bears were last season. They're good in the clutch. They're closing out games, and they're finding ways to win. They're not finding ways to lose, which is what they did all of last year. His demeanor, his leadership, his brutal honesty about his team and their performance reminds me a lot of Dan Campbell and gives me a lot of hope that not only is he a great offensive mind, but he's a great leader of men. And the way this Bears team rallies around him, the way they believe in the process and they believe in what Ben Johnson is doing, tells me he was an A-plus hire. Tells me he truly was the number one hire on the market. When the Bears went down late against the Bengals, everybody emotionally stable, everybody under control, and he dials up a game-winning touchdown drive to his rookie tight end for his second touchdown of the day. The ball is moving around the offense really well. Everybody's getting touches. The run game in Chicago has never looked so good. Monangai went for 170 on the ground today. Swift has had 100-yard rushing games this year. You rarely saw that last season. That is the Ben Johnson effect. And he's going to be a head coach for this franchise for a really long time. For a franchise that desperately needed one, they got their future head coach. It is freaking awesome, man. Awesome. And then you look at the other side of the ball. You look at the other team. The Cincinnati Bengals are such a disaster. They are so embarrassingly bad on defense. Joe Flacco, man, a guy that I have so much damn respect for. If you are playing football as a quarterback at age 40 or older, that is passion. That is love for the game. How can you not soak that all in and appreciate that? But right now, Flacco is getting the Joe Burrow treatment. He is getting to know what it feels like to throw 500 yards, 4 touchdowns, and still lose a game. He had 470, 4 touchdowns, a game-winning touchdown drive, and the Bengals defense couldn't stop a nosebleed. I was at a loss of words. When I turned the game on, that final drive with Caleb, as good as it was, how embarrassingly bad after losing to an 0-7 Jets team last week to follow it up with this. Flacco put up career numbers. A guy that's been to a Super Bowl, won a Super Bowl, who's played a full 2 decades in the NFL, statistically at his best game of his career, and still couldn't get the W because the Bengals defense is that bad. This is exactly what Joe Burrow deals with season after season after season. There is nothing else you can ask out of Joe Flacco. 38 points per game since he arrived in Cincinnati. He hasn't had a game below 33 points for this offense, and they're 1-2. Make that make sense. And the lowest scoring game, the 33-point game, is the one that they actually won. They're the first team in history to have back-to-back 38-plus point games and lose both of them. Pardon me, sorry, not the first team in history. They are the first team since 1966 to have back-to-back 38-point games and lose both of them. How embarrassingly bad. How soul-crushing for Joe Flacco to give it his all for a veteran like that who wasn't supposed to play another snap of football to come in, put on a show for your team, and for your defense to lose like that. That's just shit football. For the stars on this team, for Jamar, for T. Higgins, for Joe Burrow, I feel terrible. Burrow's got to get his ass out of Cincinnati. Like, it is dangerous there. You're going to ruin your career. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, so much offensive star power going to waste. T. Higgins is no joke a number one receiver in the NFL. The Bengals have 2 number ones, a top 5 quarterback. They have all pro players completely frustrated and done because the defense sucks. They stink. Jamar Chase was cussing his defense out after the game. Chase Brown, word for word, said we put the ball in the end zone, finish the fucking game. The truth hurts, but that's what it is. That is the ultimate truth. This defense stinks. They've sucked for years with Joe Burrow, and at some point, you need to get a stop. You need to get a stop. That's the end of the story. This franchise is so sorry, and there's nothing these 3 can do. There's nothing Burrow, Chase, and Higgins can do. And you can partially blame it on them, like, hey, you took all this money, you wanted to be together, this is the result. But you can't. You can't even blame them. Because there are teams like Philadelphia paying 2 receivers and a quarterback big money and making and winning Super Bowls. Why can't the Bengals build their defense? Ownership sucks. Fans are pissed. Rightfully so. Absolute embarrassment. 2 weeks in a row now. All right, we have arrived almost at the hour mark here. The voice is literally about to go. And in store for you to end the episode, to have me voiceless, speechless for the rest of the night, the Buffalo Damn Bills, 28-21 against the Kansas City Chiefs. When you need a game, you can count on Josh Allen. You can count on Josh Allen to deliver. He's the number 2 quarterback in the NFL. Not this season, but overall, behind Mahomes, he's number 2. He is one of the best quarterbacks in history against the Kansas City Chiefs, statistically. Regular season and playoffs. When the lights turn on, Josh Allen gets better. The great thing about Josh Allen, the awesome thing about watching him at this point, as a Bills fan is there's no more uncertainty. You know, he hasn't been great this year, but there's never uncertainty with his capabilities. Never a doubt. We know who Josh Allen is. He's established himself as a future Hall of Famer, as a top 2 quarterback in the NFL. So he can play 5, 6 straight bad games. But when the lights turn on against the Chiefs, you knew he was going to have a day. Josh Allen, against the great teams, always has a day. Always has a freaking day, man. And it was awesome to see him ball out. 270 yards, 3 total touchdowns, 88% completion percentage. He takes down Mahomes once again in November, and the defense steps up big time. I loved the run and pass game split, almost 50-50. You need to use the run game as the identity and then let Josh sling the rock. Open up the game. Find the tight ends. That's your bread and butter. I'd love for us to have a number 1, but I believe in Josh Allen to put up 28 to 35 points per game by himself. It's all on the defense. And today, Cole Bishop and Maxwell Harrison and Joey Bosa had their moments. Maxwell Harrison, first career interception against Mahomes. Cole Bishop, with no Taylor Rapp, steps in, has a phenomenal day, one of his best games of his career as a Buffalo Bill, and Joey Bosa putting pressure on the quarterback all day. We had a phenomenal day. That's it. You can't say much more about this Bills team after that performance. They looked fantastic. I've been so disappointed with this team at so many different points during the year. But today, I was super happy. That was the defensive performance we need. That was the Josh Allen everybody knows. I loved it. But I'll advise Buffalo fans right now, because we're going to keep things real here. All right? Because we know what happens in January, right? This ain't always the story in January. Matter of fact, this is never the story in January. And here goes my voice. We all knew Buffalo was beating Kansas City in November. Now we got to do it in January, when it really matters. We cannot make this our Super Bowl. Sean McDermott, get your boys ready, because we're seeing Mahomes and the Chiefs once again in the playoffs. And I will not stand for disappointment. Whatever we saw today defensively, we need to see again in the playoffs. We need pressure on the quarterback. We need to force turnovers. We need to hold Mahomes, this offense, this running game down. We need to hold them to a minimum. Josh Allen will always do his thing against the Chiefs. But we can't celebrate like we've done anything. I believe, I'm not 100% certain on this, but I believe we are 5-1 against the Chiefs in the Josh Allen era in the regular season, but we're 0-4 in the playoffs. We need to show up when it matters. In the grand scheme of things, this shit doesn't matter. I don't care that we beat KC. It's awesome. It's a morale boost. It tells me we can compete and remain competitive with the best of the best. But I want to see us do it in January or in February. Whenever the game lines up. I'm pretty sure January, end of January. Anticipating we go to the AFC Conference Championship. Because every fan on earth today knew Josh Allen was showing up, going to work, doing his business, doing what he does best, putting up 28 points, and rocking with the Bills to a W in November. But can we do it in January? That's going to be the big question this year. I'd love to see it happen. We'll see how it rolls. We'll see how it pans out. Hopefully we can do it Thank you all so much for rocking with me. We're closing in on an hour here. My voice is gone, but thank you so much for listening in. Stay tuned. Hopefully for tomorrow night's episode, I'm going to go get some tea, some halls, figure it all out. But we're running it back tomorrow with a special guest, so stay tuned for that. But for now, enjoy the Monday Nighter. Enjoy your Monday. I'll catch you tomorrow. Peace out, y'all. Stay safe.